listening to the Deep Purple Podcast, a fan podcast devoted to one of the greatest bands in rock history, Deep Purple. Your hosts, Nate and John, cover their shared history with the band, discover new music together, and cover the farthest reaches of the Deep Purple family tree and beyond. Here's Nate and John now.
Welcome to the Deep Purple Podcast, a fan podcast devoted to one of the greatest bands in rock history, Deep Purple. Today's episode is episode number 328, Jerusalem. And coming to you from the frozen suburbs of Chicago, I'm your host, Nathan Beaudry.
And coming to you from the suburbs of Providence, I'm your co-host, John. My freaking neck hurts again, Matola.
Still with that neck.
Yeah, well, the chiropractor's office opens right about now, so I'll wait till we're done with the episode, and then I'll give him a jingle.
Can you go to a chiropractor?
Yep,
I
have for years. Yeah, well, I mean, you have to go to the right one.
I've seen too many videos of those people getting. Well, not videos of it happening, but people that have been paralyzed by the neck adjustment. Those neck adjustments look brutal.
I mean, from somebody that's had them done, it's very relieving. But I have known a couple of people that have been screwed up by it, but I feel like they've just gone to the wrong people.
Well, I hope so. Otherwise, our next episode will be John Paraplegic Matola.
Oh God, don't. But yeah, no, it's just yeah, I've always had that, just, it's a good for a while, like tightness, usually in my, upper back, like neck area. And like, I think I told this story once, but like, I couldn't even, like, at work, I couldn't even take a phone and like put it on my shoulder and like write like this. And it's like, I mean, the fact that I can even do this now is like amazing, because I was just resigned to the fact that I was never going to touch, like, my ear to my shoulder again. It's like I couldn't even like bend my head over to the right. And I was going to a guy that I'd gone to for a while, and I'm like, he's really not doing anything anymore. I feel like, I should find somebody new. And so I did. And a little more like the other guy was very like, he was located in Providence on the east side, very artsy fartsy, and so was he. And so I'm like, maybe somebody that's a little more current and up to date. So there's a place that's in my neighborhood, actually, and he's a little more doctory.
Mm-hmm.
It's like his doctor's office actually looks like a doctor's office.
He's not burning sage in there or whatever.
Exactly, yeah. And I mean, I'm all about that kind of stuff for some things, but for other things, it's like, look, just make
some things that you really need fixed.
make the pain go away.
Yeah.
And I went in for a couple of sessions, and then I was like, all right, yeah, this is my guy now. Plus the other guy wasn't covered under my new healthcare, so
that helps make the decision.
So it was like, see you later.
Exactly.
But anyways, yeah, so I'll hopefully I'll get fixed up so I can enjoy my light and breezy summer.
It won't be so light and breezy.
No.
All right, coming to you, the final episode of the Deep Purple Podcast.
The final episode where I'm able to like move different parts of my body independently.
Have you seen those things? It's like a desk you can get where you're like lying down and you're like it suspends.
No.
You haven't? And it's
no, I've seen the standing desks.
It suspends like a laptop above you, so you're like basically just like lying down in traction, so you can still use your computer. I don't know what you do. I don't know if there's a catheter attached or what.
No. So why is it a frozen tundra over there?
Well, it is. We're still going through this crazy heat wave here, like I'm sure you are. But yeah, the last time we recorded, I got upstairs and I didn't realize, I was like, my toes were numb. It's so cold in this basement. I've got a blanket nearby just in case.
Wow.
But well, like the air conditioner is working extra hard to cool the house, but then all the cold sinks down to the basement, and I'm just freaking freezing down here.
Yeah.
By the time I get upstairs and then upstairs again in the bedroom, it's actually, I was like, "Ooh, it's nice and warm in here." So.
Well, I mean, yeah, well, heat rises, so
Yes.
as we all know. But
Yes.
yeah, since our last episode 12 hours ago, I don't know where this is going to fall in our episode range here, but it, like I told you last night, it sharply declined like 20 degrees.
Oh, good.
It was like 80 something like for the past 2 days. Now it's like 67. So it is very comfortable this morning as opposed to last night, but I still have the fan running next to me.
It's still like 92 right now no, it's 81 now, but the high is going to be 92. So it'll be a warmish day.
Yes.
We'll get a little reprieve tomorrow. But hey, folks, we want to let you know a little bit about the Deep Purple podcast. We are 100% listener supported. You, the listener, are supporting us. How are you supporting us? You're supporting us with money. You're supporting us with listens. You're supporting us with social media engagement. We appreciate it. But we don't run any ads on the show. We simply thank our patrons. And you can become a patron by signing up on Patreon or on PayPal for as little as $1 a month. You get access to our patrons-only Discord, our ratings spreadsheet to see all of our album and song ratings, invites for our live stream episodes. So we typically, not always, but typically, most of the time, try to do a live stream episode, invite our patrons if we're doing a live album, kind of have them listen along. In some cases, we've had people that have been at that particular concert or show, whatever it is, listen along with us and give us their views. So really fun time doing that. You also get linked to submit your rankings for Deep Purple albums. We'll get to that in a minute. So we do our rankings episodes, and you get access to our banned video episodes on Patreon. So far, Patreon is not banning them, but YouTube is. So I'm hoping we had an issue with the last episode with the recording of the video. So I'm kind of secretly hoping it gets banned on YouTube. It'll make it easier for me.
We're getting banned left and right over here.
Whenever I have an issue with the video, I'm like, oh, hopefully YouTube just bans it and then I don't have to worry about it. But speaking of patrons, we want to thank our executive level patrons coming in at the in memoriam tier, the wonderful late Gerald, Jerry, Kelly, and family. At the $25 uncommon man tier, Ovis Nakvi and Purple Maniac. At the 20 is plenty tier, Alan. At the 10-pound good doctor tier, we have Dr. Mike Catan. At the turn it up to $11 tier, Clay Wambacher, Frank Thielgard Mortensen, Mikkel Steen, Will Porter, PhD PP, and Michael, don't call him Bradford Bagford. At the $10 someone came tier, Ryan M, Jeff Bryce, Victor Campos, and Better Call Saul Evans. As well as the Peter from Illinois. And at the Deep Thoughts by John Matola tier, we have Fielding Fowler.
And now, Deep Thoughts by John Matola. And now, Deep Thoughts by John Matola. It's great.
I love it's great.
Well, I like the double intro. That was
that
accident,
was an accident.
But
I thought so. I've got the ones that Fielding sent in that have the intro, and then I have the ones that Mark sent in that don't. So I thought that was a Mark one, but it wasn't. Mark sent in new ones too, so I'll have to add those in. So, folks, a couple other things. One is, who do we think we are is the next album rankings episode. We need your rankings by August 18th. Please send them in. We don't have it's as we're recording this extremely early, a lot of time left. But we only have about 9 or 10 so far. And before we move on, we have everyone's favorite segment, Postcards from the Edge of Connecticut. So in our last episode, previously on the Deep Purple podcast, Ralphie declared that he was moving, and this postcard seems to back that up. The very glittery postcard from Las Vegas, the city of entertainment. That's not their real thing, is it? It's not like the city of
Sin City.
Yeah, well, it's probably not their official thing. Maybe it is a city. I don't know. What do I know? Scott Haskin will know. He's yelling at his podcast right now. I know Reno is the biggest little city in the world. Okay, it says, Dear Nate, I am out of postcards and stamps. By now you know I am a fraud. I will give you one guess to my identity. Guess correctly and I will send $100 to the charity of your choice. Rich, Haskin, Roback, Longford, Ralphie, who? Okay, so that one, it says I'm out of postcards and stamps. This one was, but I've since gotten more postcards from him. Another one, the City of Light, Las Vegas, with the tacky extra Eiffel Tower there.
Mm-hmm.
This one says the City of Light. They can't make up their mind. Dear Nate, Vegas is a tower just like France. Have you ever been to France? Have you ever been to Vegas? Has John ever been to France? Has John ever been to Vegas? Sorry, out of room for my review of number 187.
I've never been to either.
I have been to France a few times. Jen used to live in France, so she's my tour guide and translator. We went for our honeymoon. We spent a week in Paris and then a week in a very small town, like less than 100 people, in the south of France, where her uncles run a medieval bed and breakfast. It's not medieval themed, like you don't have to dress up like a Blackmore's Night Show, but it's in like an old silk factory from like the year 1100, and they've converted it into apartments, and it's just unbelievable, just so much fun. So her uncles cooked like a welcome dinner for you, and then we just went around all the markets and everything in France and got food, and it was awesome. And then the second time we went just to Paris because we had gone to visit same uncles who had moved to Zurich on the Lake Geneva shoreline, and we went there, visited them, and then drove to Bordeaux for a wedding, and then spent some time in France. It was great. Never been to Vegas. Jen's been a bunch for work, but we'll see. Okay. What was that? Was that 3 postcards? No, one more. Welcome to Vegas. I think this is the same. No, this is a different one. It's hard to tell with all the tacky Vegas things going on, and sequins and glitter. It says Vegas fireworks. It's always a celebration in Vegas. Dear Nate, I will let the card speak for itself, so I'll have room to give you my review of number 193, Deep Purple New York Year's Special. I also listened to number 192, The Christmas Show. Later, Gator, Ralphie. All right. So that's 3 more. 3 more from Ralphie. The piles, actually, we're getting through it. So we'll see. By the end of the summer, who knows? Maybe.
All right, I have none today. So
yeah. Well, maybe we'll solve the mystery of Ralphie before the end of the summer.
I doubt it.
Perfect timing. All right, Jerusalem. What do you know about Jerusalem? I have a feeling you're going to just talk about the city.
Poor Jerusalem.
Oh yeah, my poor Jerusalem. It's true.
As for the band, I don't know anything except for what I had to research before the episode. I did a quick little deep dive. So I know
the Google juice.
Yeah, so I know what I know from that.
Okay. So, you may or may not know that this band was founded by Paul Dean, who was the brother of Zoe Dean, who was Ian Gillan's girlfriend for about 10 years, from 1969 to 1978. Gillan went home with Zoe to spend some time with the family, and her brother was there and played Gillan. Paul Dean says he played Gillan the first Black Sabbath album, which he heard for the first time from Paul Dean. So that's pretty amazing. So, everyone remembers who played the Black Sabbath album for the first time. Do you remember? Do you remember your first time?
What, for listening to the first Black Sabbath album?
Yeah.
Yes, but I don't think it was the same experience as when you heard it in 1970, because I'd already heard heavier music,
Yeah, that's very true. Very true.
So, but I mean, actually, it was, we probably gone over it during the other episodes. But I mean, the first versions of those songs that I heard were Speak of the Devil and Tribute from Ozzy.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd heard the 80s versions. So when I heard the original Sabbath versions, especially that album, that first one, I was just like, oh, this is the birth of heavy metal. I didn't get it, like,
Really? Okay.
yeah. I mean, it wasn't like bad, but it was just a lot more like kind of like creakety and antiqued sounding than I thought it would, just not really knowing that it's like, okay, we're going back like at the time, like 20 something odd years, and things were different. And, I wasn't mature enough to get in the headspace of like, okay, like this probably blew everybody's mind back in 1969, and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So, but yeah, after I did, it's incredible thinking about it from that point of view. But I did hear it like later on, like that was one where I'd heard the 80s stuff first. So I'd heard all the really amped up wild guitar shit, and then heard Iommi stuff, which while not as technically impressive, is obviously pioneering.
The guitar heroes of the 80s obviously took it to the next level, but
yeah,
Iommi was obviously pretty much like a god in the heavy metal, or as close to a god as you can get. And and I think as you mature musically, you just kind of learn to appreciate how, even though he's not necessarily known as, even though he's constantly soloing, like in every song, he's just not really known as a lead guitarist, even though clearly,
right.
I mean, he is, but you know what I mean? Like people think of him more as like the riffs and the writing and the image but he's just a damn good lead guitarist too. But I remember our good friend Scott being up in his attic in his dad's record collection, and he had the first Black Sabbath album, and we listened to it. This was probably, 20-ish years after its release. It was probably 1989, 1990, somewhere around there. And we had already kind of gotten into Ozzy. We must have, because I can't imagine why we would have listened to this otherwise. But yeah, I remember we listened to it, and just, how dark and sinister the beginning of the album sounds, and the album cover and all that. So his dad was much like our friend Scott, the famous drummer. His dad was a drummer. So at this point, he was, young, playing his dad's old kit, and he had an old Rogers drum set. And yeah, he was getting into it and getting into that kind of music. So he had a lot of Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, no Deep Purple that I can remember, which is typical of an American dad's record collection, other than yours.
Right.
My father-in-law had some Deep Purple, but he was Canadian. And then Cream, he was into Cream. So yeah, a lot of stuff like that. I can't think of anything else, but yeah, I do actually remember hearing it for the first time. It was pretty amazing. So anyway, Paul Dean says that Zoe was managing the band at that time, Jerusalem, and Gillan asked to take a listen to the music, and then he took over management of the band. So wow, hey, my sister's bringing home Ian Gillan for dinner or the weekend or whatever. He's going to introduce me to Black Sabbath. I'm going to introduce him to Black Sabbath, and he's going to repay me back by managing my band and producing our first album. Who would have thought? So there are, this album is pretty obscure, and they did the original version of it sells for a lot, like hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And they did a re-release a few years ago. They did like a green, like 100 copies of the green vinyl and the red vinyl, and they did like a black vinyl. And I did somewhere around here, theoretically, I got a copy of the vinyl.
Yeah.
Well, just take my word for it.
I will.
I'm
sure you have it.
I'm still dealing with last summer's kitchen renovation and dealing with it here in the basement. But Gillan had newly formed his label, Pussy Music and Pussy Enterprises. That's very subtle. And if you've seen any Gillan stuff, you've seen Pussy Music written on it, on the Gillan stuff and Ian Gillan band. So straight into the point.
Freaking Ian Gillan, Pussy Music, like Big Puss from The Sopranos.
Yeah, I think he had something else in mind. So during the recording of this album, the band got to stay with Ian Gillan in Pangbourne. Am I pronouncing that, UKers? Which is like a suburb of London, close once again to Reading, where I was fortunate enough to stay in the summer of 1993. And then they commuted into London daily to record at Ian's Kingsway Studios, which I don't know if he had officially changed the name yet, but formerly Delane Lee. And we've covered a million albums that were recorded there over the years, either at Delane Lee or Kingsway, including the Gillan albums and all that sort of stuff. So Gillan said in a 1972 interview, my interest has been in an advisory capacity. I didn't so much produce the album as simply advise on a few technical problems and make some suggestions. I came across the band at a time when they were trying to get a record deal together and were in a state of confusion. In some ways, it's a nostalgic thing for me because I see them going through the same kinds of problems and transitions that I did in the early days before episode 6 even, when I was playing with little local bands in Haynes, Middlesex. I've always regretted that I never had any record of those early efforts because there was something about the brash enthusiasm of an early musical birth that you never recapture. I don't want to give you the impression that these boys are novices because they are not. They started playing almost as infants at school 5 years ago when Paul met up with Ray Sparrow and got a band together, and later at college when they met Bill Hind and Bob Cook. More recently, they've brought a new singer, Lyndon Williams, and he has just the right kind of dramatics and vocal ability that convinced me that he had what it takes. He says, mind you, I don't care what anyone says. It's the sole aim of any support band to blow the top off the bill of the stage. And if anyone has got a clap-o-meter together, I think Jerusalem would have taken a few points off of some of the bands they've worked with recently, like Medicine Head. I don't think we should give the impression that we go into it with attitude, though, said Paul. I mean, we found a group billed below us on a recent bill, and I felt just a little embarrassed. It's competitive without being cutthroat. So he talks about it a little bit in the liner notes that we'll get into in a little bit. But basically, these are guys that are all, at this point, very young, very unknown. I'm assuming Paul was Zoe's younger brother. Paul Dean on bass, on drums and percussion, Ray Sparrow. It says second guitar, Bill Hind, vocals Lyndon Williams, and guitar Bob Cook. So from the engineer, Lou Austin, who we know from, he's a Kingsway / Delane Lee aficionado. I think he definitely did Butterfly Ball. I think he might have been on the Coverdale albums. Like he's so basically he is the producer, Gillan's there kind of, supporting the band probably financially and letting them use the studio and all that. That's kind of the rundown. Let's take a look at the album art. And you probably had a chance to look at this already. John, what do you think about the album art for Jerusalem?
It's I feel like it's kind of what I thought. It looks very religious-y. It's a very amusing picture here, but yeah, based on everything that you said, it definitely sounds like it looks like a not very big or famous band like album cover. But yeah,
this guy on the cover is really dramatic.
Yeah, but is he supposed to be like Jesus? Because that's the first thing I thought. Because Jerusalem,
No, I think he's supposed to be a crusader because he looks like he's wearing like chainmail. He's got the sword, which I don't think that's a great way to hold a sword. I'm no sword fighter, but I wouldn't hold it by the blade like that.
Yeah,
but he's got that like tunic on with looks like it's got like the red cross on it.
Yeah,
I assume he's like a crusader.
Yeah, the first thing that I noticed were like the spurs on his heels, which now that I'm looking, I guess they could be like really tight-fitting boots, but I just thought that they were spurs like on his feet.
On his socks. Those are very form-fitting boots.
Yeah.
You can almost see his toes.
Yeah.
Skin-tight boots.
Yeah, but there's like and then you have the hot burning sun up there coming down on him. It almost looks like he's in in a cave or something, like looking out over, probably the desert. It's just like the first I saw it, the first thing that popped into head was like religious imagery because, Jerusalem.
Sure.
But visually, a lot of things that I see in the illustration is a lot of like elongation, right? I mean, if you look at like the sword, like his fingers, his limbs, like the strands of hair, like everything is very like exaggeratedly long, which makes it interesting.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't think of it until right this moment when you mentioned the elongation, but it's obvious. It's like very stylistic, and I don't know if they're kind of trying to hearken to like that medieval artwork, but what it just popped in my head was, do you remember that show Aeon Flux? It was like
no.
It started off on like Liquid Television on MTV, and it was like this futuristic thing about this woman who's like, there was like basically no dialogue in the show, but she'd be like running around shooting soldiers and doing all these crazy things. It was really very visually interesting, but the characters in it looked like this very elongated limbs and like long skinny faces and almost grotesque looking.
Yeah.
But that was like the style, and it was very cool. And I think this is kind of going for that same sort of style. Because like if you measured this guy, like how big is like a body supposed to be? It's like 5 or 6 heads tall. Like this guy's probably like 11 heads tall.
But he's also doing like a really good squat. His knees staying behind his toe. Knee is dropping toward the ground. He's got a perfect squat there.
So we've determined that he's younger than us.
Yeah.
He's very like, he's like, oh, like he looks just very dramatic, like, why is me? It's like, this looks like it could be a meme, right? Like, when you go to the fridge and realize you're out of milk or something, like you just make this, it's like dramatic, like, oh no, I can't believe it's happening.
Yeah, but yeah, if you just knowing the couple of things that I read is that it's just kind of like a Sabbathy kind of garage rock, stoner metal type of band or proto metal type of band. Like, yeah, this seems like a very appropriate early 70s artwork for that kind of album.
Yep. So the cover was painted by Bob Cook, the guitarist in the band.
Oh, all right. Very cool.
Paul Dean says, yes, it's now considered a great cover. Bob Cook came up with the idea and painted it. I think his original is an oil painting. It's not meant to be religious in any way whatsoever. Okay. I'm going to stop right there. I mean, it might not mean to be religious, but the name of the band is Jerusalem, and you've put a religious crusader on the cover. So, yeah, I think you're just gonna have to take that one. You're gonna have to take the L on that one. It's religious. Yeah. But anyway, he continues, just something powerful that implies fighting and reaching out for your future, whatever it may be. Nothing comes to you in this life. You have to get out there and make waves. So a good sentiment. But I think we can be forgiven for making the religious connections.
Any other art or, inserts in this? Or?
Nothing crazy. There's, this is that, Darum label, Pussy Music. And that's the side 1 and side 2. Then this is kind of just a little ad that you can almost tell Ian Gillan wrote himself and put in the newspaper. So very typical zany style Ian Gillan thing. So it says Jerusalem, produced by Ian Gillan for Pussy Enterprises. And then it does like the testimonials of here's what people are saying about the album. Terrifically exciting by the band Jerusalem. Aha. And then just a load of bloody noise. Janet's dad. It's one of those things. I don't know if Janet's dad is like a real person or if they're just making it up. A fine music. Andrew Topsend. I quite like it or not. Vague Harry. And then finally, very interesting, Adolf Hitler. So,
I mean, this is very, like, considering that these guys were probably, in their mid to late teens when they were doing this. I mean, that's very,
This is exactly what we would have done.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's exactly what I did.
What we did do, yes.
Yeah, I mean, did we talk about this before when E-Rock and I had the page for our band, and we did the fake reviews. It's just like, I love
that
this.
I read with my mom.
Oh, there we go. Yep, I remember.
Yes.
All right, now I remember. We did talk about it. Yeah, so that would have. Yeah, the one that you read with your mom that horrified you would have been our vague Harry character.
Well, it was a little more X-rated than vague Harry.
Yeah, maybe not so vague Harry.
Next time you guys put up an update on your website, I pre-read it before my mom was sitting there. Jesus. And the funny thing is, like, I wasn't even young. Like, well, I was young, but I was like, I don't know, 17 or 18. But it was just, I think there was the only computer in the house and I was like, hey, Mom, you got to check this out.
Oh, Jesus.
I called her over. So it wasn't like I was sitting on my mom's lap because I was a baby and I was like, show me my webpage, Mom.
Well, you'll know better for next time.
Yeah, but burned
But I mean, it sounds like, it's like, this is great. Bill Cosby, it's like you just fake reviews, yes. that are meant to be like funny or something. So,
yep, that's pretty good. Then there's this other smaller ad that says "Get into Jerusalem," which is kind of a smaller version of that. And then this is a picture of the green vinyl re-release, which I think, nice. Like I said, I think it's only like 100 copies of this. Mine's just the black vinyl. But yeah.
Are there any pictures of the band? Like,
there's actually, I got like 1 million pictures in this thing. I can zip through them real quick. There's a little press release for one of their singles that we're not going to talk about today. There's the band on the back cover of one of the CD releases.
Oh, okay.
That's Paul Dean, second from the left. And then there's another picture of them from another release, The Jerusalem Story. Then we've got, these are from one of the CD releases. So there they are, just kind of standing outside, and they've kind of superimposed the Jerusalem cover, kind of like a what do you call it? Like a negative version of it in the background. It's like almost a watermark.
All right, yeah. So I mean, looking at these guys, it was like typical. Like they could have been it could have been them or Black Sabbath. Like
Paul Dean looks young, like young. Like
except 17. They don't have like the handlebar mustaches that most of the band had, except Ozzy.
Yeah, I don't think I think it's not by choice. It's just they weren't able to grow them yet. They were too young.
Yeah, but definitely looks like one of those because bands back then didn't really have a quote unquote style. They just dressed like the time. But yeah, it looks like any other.
Speaking of which, it's funny. The Ovis just sent me a video of one of the first Black Country Communion shows, and it's cool because it's like it's obviously a super group. All these guys come together, but everyone just sticks to their own style. It's not like the Dead Daisies where everyone was kind of like trying to be a same kind of like quasi biker tough guy look. Like they're just all like, Glenn Hughes is just doing his Glenn Hughes thing. You got Joe Bonamassa in like a suit and a baseball hat. And you've got Jason Bonham just in like a t-shirt. And then you got the short haired, like Derek Sherinian, like on the keyboards. It's very clear that they're not trying to be like, which I kind of like. I like the manufactured style. I just go with what you want to go with.
Yeah. Well, these days. Yeah.
All right, so I think we'll thank our next set of patrons and then jump right into the music here. And our next set of patrons is, of course, you guessed it, our core level patrons. Coming in at the $6.99 new nice price tier, we have Spike the Rock Cat's Ghost and Sugar Tea. At the episode $6.66 tier, we have Steve Coldwell.
Steve.
Arthur Smith.
Getting support from the patron Arthur Smith.
Anton Glaving.
Pain in the glaving.
And Charles Meadows. At the $6.65 almost evil tier, we have Kenny Wymore and Richie Sucksmith. At the $70 Norwegian Kroner tier, we have Kai Runa, yes, I'm Norwegian Olsen. At the $5.99, the nice price tier, Robert Smith. At the 60 kroner Scandinavian Nights tier, we have DJ Knut Morten Johansson. At the €5.50 tier, Merlin Rota. At the £4 tier, Mr. Duncan Leask. Let's see here.
Dancing I want her, dancing I want her, dancing I want her.
I try to pick the Lucy clip that's going to best suit the album that we're in, so that one was a little tougher today. We need her to do some like doom metal style songs.
That would be so adorable.
So adorable. I should have her. What would be the War Pigs?
Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath.
Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath. Probably not to the tune of Dancing Nylon Shirt. At the $5 moneylender tier, John Convery, German Heindel, Adrian Hernandez, Jesper Alman, Alexei the Perfect Stranger, Slepikov, Kev Roberts, Scott Zerns, Cynthia Doobie, Raf Kaff,
My Czechoslovakian is not so good.
Coyote Bongwater, John Maselli, Sarah Sanders. Somebody knocked over some silverware at the end. Jelly Bean, Evan Robeson, Purple Swede. Sweet. And this week from Vegas, Ralphie. I just noticed on one of these, Ralphie used, I might have said this before, but he used a Betty White stamp. All right. So here we are, folks, ready to dig into some Jerusalem. There's actually some pretty good liner notes and things on that release. I can kind of like go through while we're tackling the songs. Oh, shoot. I never even wrote the names of the songs down here. Well, anyway.
Whoops.
The first track on this album, first side on this album is a song called, let me share this with you, Frustration. So when you mentioned like garage band earlier, it's got that very raw. Kind of has the same kind of feel as Fireball, actually. You know that tempo?
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of that. You know those bands that like Metallica listened to that influenced them, like Budgie and those?
Oh, yeah. Good call.
Like this sounds like something that Metallica would have listened to, and then in like 83, 84 did like a cover of it. And like heavied it up.
We're going to have to put this into AI and have Hetfield sing it. that sounds like the sound the guy in the cover's making. Oh! Oh! You can definitely hear like the Sabbath influence.
Yeah. It's definitely the riffs are there. And like the playing, it's I don't think bands were there yet with the heaviness. You know, like I could hear in like 10 years, like I said, like a Metallica, like covering this and making it super heavy.
Yeah. It sounds almost like punk.
Okay, yeah.
Well before punk. Well before, a few years before.
Well, except it's got a super long guitar solo.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. The song would have ended already. We'd be at track 3 by now. Do you remember that band that I had that CD of, Lawnmower Death? Do you remember that?
I don't.
It had, there was like 47 tracks on the album.
Jesus Christ.
And I just got it because the cover was like ridiculous, and it had like all this crazy stuff on it. It had like the Millennium Falcon flying around, but it was like very weird. Gotta look them up.
Hey girl, will you never learn? Who do you think you're fooling?
Yeah, and on the cover of the album it says, "Oh crikey, it's Lawnmower Death."
No, it doesn't ring any bells for me.
No, I had the long box, and I think what I did was I cut it up and I put it on my wall. It was one of the many things on my wall. Yeah, it had like, so it's like this giant spaceship lawnmower that's like going through, and there's these like helicopters with guns, and then there's a spike, and it's just spiked straight through the Millennium Falcon, and Superman's on the cover. It's like very weird. Trying to think of who the vocalist reminds me of.
Yeah, because you could tell the way that they were recorded too. Like there was like no distortion on these guitars. Like the amps were not in overdrive; they couldn't have been.
I mean, it's something there.
I mean, they definitely got the energy. The bones are there for like, you know, it to be really good. I mean, like I said, back then it was, you know, I'm trying to put my mind into you know, the time is that it was probably really heavy for then. Yeah, but
yeah, but
yeah,
it's like the distortion is just like turning up loud. Like, yeah, they're not. I don't know what the technology would have been at the time. Although I probably had my early amps were probably from this time. But like I know like so they would have like a gain. So, and then later when they went solid state, they'd have the actual distortion knob that you can turn up. But it sounds like they're just kind of overdriving the speakers, but maybe not.
Right. I mean, we're talking like 70. Would you say 72?
72, yep.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, I know there was no distortion like we had in like, I don't know, 10 years from then, but 10, 12 years, whatever. But I mean, you know, you could still like, you know, you know, it so far this first song, it didn't sound very gritty, you know, but I mean, there was a lot of energy behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think taking into it what Gillan was saying is that, and then maybe this would be a good time to read this little thing from Gillan. So I have this program to find album art, and you know, it just searches all the different databases to try to find the album art. So I was looking for the Lawnmower Death cover, and it's opened a cover of Lawnmower Death that's like completely covering my windows and I can't close. It's like frozen. So I'm just like stuck. I'm trying to get around to my windows, but I'm stuck on this right now.
What'd you get for multitasking?
I know, right? let's see. I'm gonna see if I can force quit the app so we can actually continue with our episode here. Art end task. Aha, there we go.
Aha, aha.
Yeah, it was just like there, just in front of everything. I couldn't get rid of it. Okay. So, how would you rank Jerusalem's opening track, Frustration?
You know what? I'll give it a 3 for effort. You know, it wasn't bad. I was hearing it for what I think I was listening to it for what it could be.
Yeah.
In the future. But seeing that as like what other, like trying to look at it from what maybe other people saw of it then, right? Because like you had people that grew up in that time, or you had Gillan at the time hearing like the heaviness, the rawness, the energy, and that obviously translated into what people did in the late 70s, early 80s that became what metal is now.
Right.
So yeah, I could see it. I could see that why that became a thing, because also like the chord changes, or like some of the sections, I could hear them. I could hear the heaviness in it. But it was definitely sounded very young, amateur.
Sure.
You know, like the extended solo section reminded me of like what you know, what we used to do when we would write songs, is like not necessarily with you, because you had more of a producer minded. You would edit things out. We would just think like, oh, this sounds really cool. Let's just let it roll, because it wasn't going anywhere, you know? So we would just like record shit and have like, you know, a 20-minute long solo section and be like, oh, that's so cool. That's my showpiece. You know, it's like, no, nobody wants to hear it.
Nobody wants your showpiece.
Yeah, exactly. It's too like you need, that's why you need producers to edit it down and, you know, all that kind of stuff. But so I get where they're coming from, you know, everything from that to like the fake, you know, reviews from Hitler and everything.
Yeah. But
it's like, I get where they're coming from.
It's a snapshot in time, though. I gotta admit, it kind of makes me feel, I don't know. I'm sure that Raf can tell us if the Germans have, I think I might have even said this before. The Germans probably have a word for it, but like nostalgia for something that you weren't actually part of.
Right.
Like, I'm not nostalgic for this album because I never heard it until very recently. And I think I only thumbed through it really quick, like a couple of years ago. I never really sat and listened to it until now. But yeah, like it makes me nostalgic for this age and this part of your development musically.
Yeah, there you go.
It gives me kind of that warm feeling about that time, even though this wasn't my time and this wasn't my band.
Right, but I mean, you could just like transplant that into like from then to when we were that age to kids that are that age now. It's pretty much all the same.
Yeah. Kids will be kids. I'll give it a 3 too, and you know, I think it could get a 2.5, but I think a 3 just because, you know, based on what it is. And Gillan says here, let's see if I can pull it up. This is from the album notes. And I can share it. This is actually just a scan of the album liner. It says, "This is the first album by Jerusalem, a band which excites me very much. They are rough, raw, and doomy with their own strong identity. As they are young and a bit green, they don't follow many rules, so their material is almost crude, but still immensely powerful in content. I believe that whenever possible, the work of writers and players in their formative stages should be recorded before inhibition and self-consciousness set in, before fire and aggression die down, and while they are still absorbing influences and doing things which others might consider uncool. Most important, though, before they might develop that self-imposed rigidity which afflicts so many, I hope none of these things happen to Jerusalem. We'll have to wait and see. This album is just in case. I hope you like it as much as I do."
You know what? I mean, that pretty much captures what we were saying.
Right. So like,
I think you said it really well. Yeah.
Going through this with that in mind, you know, it's kind of like, it's not a disclaimer, but it sort of is. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like they're trying to, he's trying to let you know what you're listening to. You know, you're not listening to like a polished band that's been put together by a record company to be a certain way.
Right.
I did think it was really interesting that he used the term doomy, because I always thought that was a more modern term. like, people will call Black Sabbath like doom metal, but I thought that was something that might have come up in like the 90s when there were starting to become different types of metal and you had to distinguish between them, like death metal and thrash metal and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But apparently it dates back as early as 1972 at least.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even though heavy metal was only a couple years old. All right, so let's go on to the next track here, and this is a song called Hooded Eagle. This is very Sabbath.
Yeah.
But it is interesting what you noted earlier that I couldn't really put my finger on, which is it's not really distorted.
Yeah, I think it comes more from the riffs, the chord changes, the vocals, like just the energy that the band is putting out.
But listen to this. I could hear, like, if Sabbath did a cover of this, you would never know they didn't write it.
Yeah.
Just throwing in a little Child in Time there.
Yeah.
Like, is that cool, Ian? He's like, whatever.
I'm the producer, it's fine.
But it sounds like even the production sounds amateurish,
Yeah.
So I don't know if it was one of those things where Gillan was like, hey, listen, I'll get you some free studio time, but it's going to be at like 2 a.m. You know what I mean? I've had free studio time before. It's usually not ideal.
Yeah.
See, I like stuff like this too. Like, I'm not a big production guy. Like, I like and appreciate good production, but if there's something about the mood in the songs, like, I so many things that I've listened to endlessly are, things that were never meant to be released, or demos or things like that, and you just get into the songs and really enjoy it for that. I know some people have the exact opposite opinion. They can't do it. So a hooded eagle, would that be like, don't you feel like a falcon? What do they call the falcon guys?
A bird handler?
Falconers? I don't know. Falconry? What's a falconry guy? Falconers, I guess. Okay. They put the little hood on them, on the falcon. I don't know what the point of that is. Maybe to like, it's like blinders for a horse or something? I don't know.
Well, yeah, if you put the thing over him, it keeps him from seeing so he doesn't fly away.
Oh, is that why?
Well, yeah, that's why you see the guys like this and they got the big eagle on them and they put the hood on it, because if he can't see anything, he can't do anything.
Okay.
I know, to me it sounded like a filthy term or something. It's just like, and then he pulled out his hooded eagle.
I thought the same thing.
Yeah, it sounds
all
kinda...
I can say is if If that's what you're thinking about this one, then just buckle up for a later track.
Oh boy.
I'm trying to be mature about it, but I don't think I'm going to be able to contain myself. All right. It's a little abrupt ending there. Hooded Eagle. What do you think, John?
You know what? I'll have to give it a 2.5. Middle of the road. I mean, now I get what they're doing, and it's I feel like it was it was a little long.
Yeah, it was.
We were talking through most of it, and I was listening to it in the background. I'm like, yeah, I get what's going on here. But yeah, the first track had a little impact. It was a little shorter. It felt a little shorter, and it was my first time hearing anything. This one is okay, it's kind of more the same. Now I know where they're coming from, what they're trying to do.
Yeah, I will also give it a 2.5 for that reason. Yeah, this one was, well, it wasn't super long. It was like 4:40. But yeah, I think, to Ian Gillan's point, it's clearly, this is a band in its infancy. And, it with that disclaimer in mind, it kind of shows that. But yeah, definitely some young guys who are excited about this kind of music. It's coming through. Oops, still screen sharing. The next track up is called I See the Light.
I think I need a little more volume. It's getting really low.
Sure. How's that?
There we go.
Ooh. Little production there and a little overdub going. Oh no, it's going the other way. But even that when he's going, it's like, it's not, because, you're just dealing with non-expert players. In other words, it sounds exactly like what it would sound like if I played it. Yeah, I would say the only... So Gillan did a good thing by letting him use the studio, but I feel like... See, this tone's a lot better.
Yeah.
I feel like he should have donated an old Deep Purple amp or something to that other guitarist.
Yeah, this one's a little more cutting tone. See, now it's getting a little more fuzzed out on the right channel here.
Yep. Oh, little Black Sabbath transition. Really distinct bass, or is that the?
Don't know.
I think it's the bass in that right channel. Do you think Jack Frost? Look up the lyrics on this one. He said the child was crying. I thought he said Jack Frost crying. That'd be a really weird thing to say.
Yeah, Jack Frost is crying. Okay.
That's suspect.
What?
I don't want to kill no one. It's well, I wasn't thinking about it until now. I think you do want to kill someone. Most people that don't want to kill anyone don't mention that they don't want to kill anyone. Okay, John, I see the light. Do you? And if you do, what's the amplitude of the light right now?
2.5. I mean, I heard some good stuff in there, but again, it was just kind of it was all over the place.
Yeah. I think the same thing, and I think it's one of those things, interestingly enough, being produced by Ian Gillan, I think if he was, and maybe that's the whole point, you know, like what he was saying, he wants to preserve what the band is like in this form and in its infancy, and in which case he definitely did it. So it's like almost like is this more for him than for the band? You know,
well, I mean,
I think for the band he could have come in and made some decisions that could have really elevated this album.
Right, but I mean, what did you read before is that he wasn't really a producer in terms of tweaking the knobs or whatever. He made suggestions and stuff. It's like him being a producer here, I think, is him more being like a producer of a movie. You know what I mean? It's like they don't go, they make some decisions, but they just kind of throw their money or their support behind it. It's not like he was a producer like Roger Glover was a producer or is a producer. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, he goes in there and makes these technical decisions. I think Gillan was just a producer in terms of like support. You know,
right? But I think he could have been that guy that was like, let's try this. But it's almost like he's like the like the nature documentary guy, like, you know, like we cannot interfere. we see here in the studio the young band recording their album. They don't know yet, but the tone they're using on the guitar is not correct. Let's look and see what happens. You know, it's like I feel like there could have been maybe a middle ground where he has all this knowledge to lend and could have, or Lou Austin, who was an experienced producer. Well, maybe at this point, maybe this was earlier on in his career.
Yeah, I mean, you don't know.
But he's produced some incredible albums and engineered some incredible albums. So, you know, I don't know. It's I'm of two minds of it. Like I can see where the potential for something is great, but I can also see where he wanted. It's great for us, and it's great for Ian Gillan to have this record of this young, early, hungry band.
Yeah,
but I feel like maybe it did them overall a disservice.
Yeah.
So far. All right, next track up is called "Murderer's Lament." Whoa. Won't someone think of the poor murderers? We got a weird circus feel to it.
Yeah.
Reading ahead at the lyrics kind of makes sense.
Here I sit, I'm very sad. Am I really going mad? They never seem to notice me. I'm all alone, you see. It doesn't matter how I try. Women see to pass me by. Now the time begins.
This is a pretty good kind of like doomy vibe to it.
Yeah.
If we're going with that word.
I must go.
just kind of creepy.
Find that woman who is best. Lay her first and break her neck.
Yeah. Weird murder ballad about this guy who's a total loser. Can't get anywhere with women, so decides he's gonna kill them.
Ooh.
Sadly, an archetype that's existed for forever.
See, now this is actually pretty good. This feels like a little more pulled together.
This reminds me of like an early Jethro Tull song.
Okay, yeah.
Well, that part, not this part.
No, the verses, yeah.
This weird kind of silly sounding circus part is like just this guy. It's like the madness inside this guy's head. But yeah, the verse sounds very Jethro Tull, just missing the flute solo. It's like all discordant and
Pretty flowers, I waste the hours watching birds go by. See the birdies fly, hiding from the law, hiding in this straw. See the pointed hats coming down the track. My heart begins.
You know, this is like another section, like a third section, like a bridge section, I guess.
I mean, it's kind of the same as the verse, but it's also a little different. That's weird, short.
Oh, okay. That was like
Song.
the outro. Okay.
About
Dun 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 dun. That's all I can remember from it.
it's oddly catchy. But yeah, just a kind of a haunting song about a pathetic loser who decides he can't have women, so he'll murder them, and then just he's running from the law and gets caught and killed at the end. Just
Yikes.
another uplifting song to start off our day.
Great.
John, Murderer's Lament. What do you think?
I give it a 3.5. I thought this one was pulled together like a lot better. Like I really got the feeling of it, the kind of like that really kind of gloomy, creepy feeling, especially like in the verses. I thought it was done pretty well, actually. And I think like coupled with like the kind of that really antiquated production, no production really. You know, it sounds like, you know, it sounded very like haunting. So, and then, you know, dun, 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 dun. It's like, it is, it's
like
catchy.
When Beavis and Butthead, when they go, dun, 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 dun. They would love this song. I'll give it a 3.5 as well. I like what they did with this one, although admittedly the whole dun 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 dun, and then they move it up a step. Dun 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 dun. It's kind of, it's very amateurish, and then the guitar playing like you know it, but it works. You know, I think it works as far as the what they're trying to get across in this song. I think it also is partially just, you know, that they're young and putting together a song, but their arrangements honestly aren't too bad. I feel like a little bit, if they had someone to guide them a little more and a little more time in the studio, I mean, who knows? The sky's the limit.
Yeah, maybe. But for what it is, for what this is now, it's pretty good.
But the last track on the first side, and I misread this the first time I saw it, and I cannot unsee it now, but I thought it was called When the Wolf Shits. But it's when the wolf sits. It just
Okay, mate.
here we go. It's just every time I see it, everything's
when
in
the
right
wolf
channel
shits,
right
you're
now.
gonna get one of those little plastic poop bags.
I think I'll let the wolf take care of that. I don't want him biting my arm off as I try to pick up his poop.
That's great. This is a really driving, like thumping kind of song.
Yep. I like what he's doing on the bass side. I don't know if he's like doing like a double stop with a pick.
Yeah.
Like if he's just doing like the, instead of doing the note of the octave, he's doing the note and then strumming the fifth in the octave with the pick. It's pretty cool.
Well, I also noticed the vocalist is just like he's staying like up here the whole time.
Yeah.
Like he's just really like he's sustaining that kind of like that energy and that higher range through the whole song.
And I wonder if they truly are as influenced by Sabbath as we assume they are. And I probably correctly. If he's trying to go for that like Ozzy range, you know?
Very gritty in this song.
Yeah.
You can tell this was the guitar player like discovered the whammy bar.
He went, oh man, I didn't notice this the first 4 songs. Whoa, this is fun. I just got found this Facebook page with a picture of the singer, and he looks freaking just like Ozzy.
Really?
Yeah, it's kind of.
Are these people still around now doing anything, or even if they're not in a band, are they still like?
I know Paul
like,
Dean is on like Facebook and stuff, but I don't know if they're doing much else. Let me see. Doesn't he look like Ozzy in this picture?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like he's got the same hair, a maniacal looking
Ozzy.
laugh.
Yeah.
He needed a new bridge after this. I don't know what kind of guitar he was using, but he's really abusing that thing.
Yeah.
All right. When the Wolf Sits. John, what do you think?
You know what? I'm going to give it a 4.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 4 for not only for effort, but I mean, it's like I legitimately enjoyed it more than the other ones. It was more straightforward. It was heavier. To the point. This was more of like, okay, now I can feel from this song the early kind of heavy roots. And and the singer too is like he wasn't as clean. He was a lot grittier, and like I noticed before is that he was just kind of like he kept his intensity level like up here. It's kind of like since we're Gillan was involved, it's kind of like how I noticed on some of Gillan's there were some Gillan Ian Gillan band, or like probably more Gillan songs because Gillan was the heavier band, or like Born Again, where there were some songs where he was just like Gillan was singing like up here in the intensity level. He wasn't giving himself a break, and you're like, holy shit, how does he do that?
Yeah, he's gonna blow out his vocal cords.
Exactly. And I mean, he wasn't to that same level, but I mean, the point being is that he was keeping his intensity up here, so it was very like that helped drive the song and make it heavier. Plus, you had like the bum 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 bum, and it was like a really stomping kind of beat, which I think also lent to the heaviness. So, yeah, in the context of the album, like I think my favorite so far.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I'm gonna give this one. I'm gonna give this one a 3. I agree with everything you said. I don't think it struck me quite as much as it struck you, but I do like it. Yeah, I think it was. There are moments in the playing, even despite the basically egregious use of the whammy part.
Well, that was pretty funny at first. Yeah.
Despite that, I feel like this had the most moments of like consistent, really good playing, whereas some of like the amateur nature was showing itself in some of the other songs, and not a dig, but just, kind of the reality of it. I feel like this one, they kind of held it together the best. All right. Yeah. As we flip this album over, we get to the song that I previously referenced. The song is called Midnight Steamer.
Was it from Cleveland?
Oh, God. I don't know. I just can't. It just sounds. It sounds dirty and disgusting. Here we go. I like that. I'm afraid to Google it, but I'm Googling Midnight Steamer.
Oh, God.
I'm going to be on a list now.
He's got that doubling effect on his vocals. It sounds a lot like that Blue Cheer, like Summertime Blues.
Oh, yeah.
Thing. I think a lot of those early like bands that were trying to be quote unquote heavy use that on their vocals.
I'm bringing the volume down. Now it's like too loud. Like I feel that there's the mastering of this album is a little hilly. Apparently there's a band called Midnight Steamer. No, just the lyrics. If you just read I wasn't reading along to the first verse. But I'll read it after.
I Googled it as well, and I'm not finding as many disturbing images as I thought I would. Actually, I found one of a clothing steamer in midnight blue.
I'm not really happy with the color of my clothing steamer, so I think I might pick that up. Mine's white.
But yeah, you get a lot of that. Just listening to the solos too. A lot of them are that same like basic pentatonic stuff that you first learn when you're on guitar. That's how a lot of mine were.
And even that's a lot of how. So that's still the only scale Eric Clapton knows, for God's sake. Many of the all-time great guitar gods have made a career out of noodling around in pentatonic. Nothing wrong with that.
But I think it's also depends on what you do with it.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I'm not knocking it. I would be lying if I said my guitar playing did not.
But I mean, this sounds like a novice guitar player.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I know what that is.
Yeah.
And you know, nothing wrong with that. But
a lot. Like I have a terrible ear. Like I can't. Like our friend Paul has like basic perfect relative pitch. He can just go to a piano or a guitar. You could sing something, play something. He can figure it out in 2 seconds. I cannot do that. But if there's like a riff in pentatonic or a solo in pentatonic, I can see it on the fretboard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, like I haven't ever played that, but if I pick up a guitar now, I can play it probably first shot.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder when I, you know, for musical geniuses that know all the modes and scales and all that, like they'd hear something Yngwie is playing and they could just pick up a guitar and be like, oh, this, and you know, like if you're that good, you just can put your head in the position of what they're the scale and the mode they're playing and just pick something up. So I unfortunately only have one real mastered scale.
Yeah.
I think that's why it's so hard to learn new things, is because I have to learn exactly what they're doing rather than, oh, I already have this imprinted in my brain. I can just figure it out.
Right.
Okay, so I have to read this first verse to you, because I picked it up and I wasn't paying attention to the lyrics. But in the dawn of the evening, the boat has come to transport you. 3 hooded sirens are your crew. Your captain is a skeleton. Oh, I love it. Have you ever seen that guy? Oh, what the heck's his name? He does the the Spirit Halloween song. He's like, this is the theme for Spirit Halloween. He made it like as a joke because he's like, he wanted Spirit Halloween to pay him money, and then he ended up actually making a song for them because they thought it was hilarious. But he's talking about Spirit Halloween, and he goes off on how like Spirit Halloween killed Barnes and Noble. Spirit Halloween killed, you know, he's just talking about. But then he goes to there's one part in the song where he's like about he calls Spirit Halloween, and then the woman on the phone says something, and then he goes, "She was a skeleton." I just can't help but think of that. It's great. You got to listen. It's in our Halloween playlist. It's one of the favorites.
Okay.
When we listen to Monster Mash too much, we got to branch out. Okay. Midnight Steamer, John, what do you think of the song Midnight Steamer, not the lewd act?
I'll give it a 2.5. I think it's I mean, I can't go any higher just because I think the title is hilarious.
Apparently it's like, well, there's, you know, this band that I looked up, it had like their logo is like a little steamboat. So is that like a thing? Like, oh, it's a steamboat that picks you up at midnight. I don't know.
I guess.
I don't know. Maybe it's just a thing we're not familiar with.
Did I ever tell you
in that regard it is?
Did I ever tell you, like, did I tell the story about, I mean, when we found out all those crazy names, like we were in high school, I don't know if you probably weren't, because you know what, you were, I'll just say you were better than us. You're just like, nah, this is like, this is too lowbrow for me. Get away. Right. We didn't include you on this stuff. But like, and I'll protect.
Paul was the best of all of us, though. He was.
Yeah, Paul was like Paul. Yeah, if Paul ever caught wind of it, was in the middle of it, you just see like that look on his face, like I'm not amused. But he
was always fully matured.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll protect the innocent by not saying the friends who, but
I'll be able to figure it out.
Yeah, you will. But but I mean, we had like I don't know how in the early days of the internet, you got like one of our friends had like this list, it is all the dirty terms and what they meant,
Yep.
And that one was just for some reason like it was the funniest one, the steamer one. So there was some catalog or site or so, maybe a place where I saw there was like a t-shirt, and it was made up to look like a baseball t-shirt with a logo on it that said the Cleveland Steamers, so it looked like a team.
Yep.
And I bought it, and it had and on the back it said like like the number was like 69, or something.
Of course. You're not gonna pass up that opportunity. What, are you gonna choose that time to be to be all mature about it?
No, this is going too far.
I think it would be funnier if it was like number 42 or something.
No, it was like, and I had it for a while. I can't remember, like when I finally was like, yeah, this is not in the wardrobe anymore. Like, I think maybe last week I got rid of it, but no, I'm just kidding. But I haven't had it for quite a while. But I do remember.
You only save it for special events like weddings, graduations,
funerals.
Oh God,
weddings, funerals, graduations. Yeah, but I just yeah, I can't remember. There was like, they have the name on the back of the jersey too. It was a t-shirt, but it was made to look like a jersey. And I can't remember. Yeah. I can't remember what the name was, but it was like, it had to do with the whole thing, but it was
the whole thing.
that whole thing. Yeah.
Nice way to put it. Well, I will give this one a 3.
Okay.
I think I liked it slightly more than you. Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good. The next track up, I believe Paul Dean says is his favorite track on the album, and this one is called Primitive Man. Oh, it starts with bass, that's why.
There you go.
Wow, really distorted tone on this one.
All right, where was this guitar?
Yeah, where were they hiding these tones?
Makes me think of Sabbath Bloody Sabbath for some reason.
Sure.
But again, he's really like... See, now you got that really distorted rhythm guitar and that really gritty, like screaming vocal.
Ooh, a little geezery sounding in the background there. I love his voice. Is like, it sounds like he's just pushing himself to the limit. Who knows? Like, I don't think this was done in like a day, but I'm sure they didn't have infinite studio time either. As generous as Ian was. But it's good. It's good to hear that like rawness in the vocals.
Now, I was just wondering how, like, compared to this, they sounded live. Because I'm guessing that recorded, it was a little, overall, a little less intense, whereas, like, because Gillan saw them live, so... Just wonder what their live performances were like. They're probably more,
and honestly,
intense.
Recording in the studio is a skill, and if you're new at it, and that's why a lot of, particularly in this era, why a lot of newer bands just were a little stilted in the studio. You know, they didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
New parts in these songs. That's like almost like a bossa nova sort of at this point,
Yeah.
right? Is that
kind of like
I'm using
dancing
the wrong
around?
term, but it's very. Wow. Definitely very inventive and creative
Yeah.
in arranging these songs. You know, they're doing things that you wouldn't necessarily expect. Very interesting for such a young band.
Yeah, kind of interesting that like Gillan gravitated toward these guys. Like, I mean, he did a lot of heavy stuff, but I mean,
not like this, yeah.
right? But I mean, him getting into this, it's just like based on his influences and some of the outtakes and kind of like, you know, off-center stuff that he did on his own. You wouldn't think that he would be like drawn to like a Sabbath type band, even though he was in Sabbath.
Yeah, I was gonna say. As Paul Dean is playing him that album for the first time, you're gonna be the singer of these guys in about 10 or 12 years.
But just talking about as an influence, you know, because he was into, you know, Little Richard and all those guys.
Right.
And, oh, hitting that whammy bar again.
Oh, a little palm muting.
There's a chaotic fade out.
Yeah, kind of a, and I don't know if they were intending to end that a different way, and something messed up. So like, quick fade. we've all been there. All right, Primitive Man. What do you think, John?
I'll give Primitive Man a 3.
Mhm.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I mean, I enjoyed that they had a lot of different. What you were saying before is that they had a lot of different parts, a lot of different arrangements in there, which you know, maybe a younger band wouldn't, you know, typically do. You know, it'd be more straightforward, or you know what they did on like maybe the first couple of songs is just this extended jam all the way through. But yeah, some of the arrangements are showing you know, a good handle on, you know, song construction, stuff like that.
Yeah. All right, I will give this one a 3 as well. Yeah, I mean, just a pretty solid track. It's a little long. It's going on the 6-minute mark.
Yeah, it was a little long. That's my kind of beef with it.
But, you know, I see what they're going for. There were lots of parts, lots of cool things. They kept it interesting. Lots of, you know, like I said, inventive things for a young band to be trying out. Okay, next track up, the penultimate track on the album, Beyond the Grave.
All right.
Oh, is that a
Sounds like
sitar,
an
or
Irish.
is it just-
Sounds like an Irish jig. No, I
Can't
don't think
tell if
it's
it's a sitar or a guitar that's tuned like a sitar.
Probably
it's a
that.
sitar.
I think they had the money for a sitar.
You don't think Gillen had any of that sitar money?
If he did, he
how
wasn't
close.
giving it to them.
Just call, get George Harrison on the phone. I'm sure he had a loaner you could give him.
You mean Arnold Grove?
Sorry.
In Deep Purple circles, we refer to him as Arnold Grove.
Arnold Grove, yes.
Interesting.
He says loins. Loins.
Yeah, this is We've Discovered the Middle Eastern Scale song.
Uh-oh. Whoa. What the hell is going on? Gotta keep them separated. I don't know why it's making me think that.
Because I told you, it's that same scale.
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
We've Discovered the Middle Eastern Scale.
I just imagine this whole album happening in exact chronological order. It's like, they like, hey, what's this little weird thing you screwed into the guitar? Oh, it's a whammy bar. And then they bring it into that song, and then it's like,
Yeah.
he had a guitar lesson between Primitive Man and this, and he learned the Middle Eastern scale.
I mean, that's what happens. You learn a new trick,
That's what
and
happens in real time.
it's all over the next bunch of things that you write.
Yeah, exactly. What are you gonna do? Let it go to waste?
Not at all. You got to use it all. You got to cram it all in there.
But this is weird if he does the same thing he did in the last verse, where he goes into speaking part.
I think that's interesting. That's how they went into this kind of faster instrumental part.
Now we're just basically being treated to his practice. He's practicing the scale. Here we go.
Now he's back.
Yeah.
So now I'm gonna hit you with some of my classic riffs.
Oh, modulation there.
Oh,
The song is like whiplash. It's
I
a
know,
little
it's all over the
schizophrenic.
place.
What? When he sings in this register, he's very Ian Anderson sounding.
Yeah, I keep forgetting about it because I haven't heard Jethro Tull in so long.
You're gonna have to change that.
But I just feel like nobody talks about them. Like I just don't hear about them these days, So it's like I always forget, that they're a thing. And then when you mention that a couple of times, like, oh yeah, he does have that kind of voice, or the song has that kind of vibe to it.
You're gonna have to listen to Aqualung on the ride to work today. That album's hot as shit.
Yeah, I remember they were a big part of the classic rock, heavy metal conversation for a while.
I picked up a cassette of Aqualung there when I was going to CCRI.
Yeah.
If you drive down that street a little bit, they were having like sort of record convention there.
Mm-hmm.
And I picked up that cassette and like a Mike Nesmith solo album from like 1986 or something. I don't know why I picked that one
novel.
Up. But then, yeah, I would just listen to that Aqualung. I listened to the Mike Nesmith album once.
I mean, it's a novelty. That's why.
I don't even think I was thinking about it. I was like, oh, this could be really good. And I was like, maybe not.
I mean, probably for the same reason that I picked up this album by General Johnson.
Just
because there was a picture of a black guy with a big afro on the front, and I'm just like, why not for $1,
This was not that, though. This was like Mike Nesmith in like a Don Johnson style suit.
All right.
Like I remember the way I remember it as like a gray suit with like a pink shirt underneath, or like some sort of pastel-y shirt underneath. And it was like, it did not look like my style at all. I have no idea. Maybe it was like $1, and maybe that's why I picked it up. But
wow.
Yeah, Jethro Tull won that battle of the albums.
Yeah.
But speaking of albums, Beyond the Grave, John, what do you rank this one?
2.5.
Yep.
I mean, I'll give him some. I'll give him some points for using a different scale, but it was the promise, the song promised a from beyond the grave type of vibe, and it I don't know if it really delivered, but it was so.
I will echo your 2.5. I thought I like what they were going for with all the different parts and everything, but yeah, I think it was just it was a little stitched together.
Yeah.
It didn't flow, I don't think, the way that they wanted it to. But yeah, it is what it is. Now we come to the final track on the album, She Came Like a Bat from Hell. Is back into this register. Oh, found the tremolo.
He's like, this is my Bat from Hell guitar lick. That's what a bat coming from hell sounds like.
Hey, well, how do we know?
Obviously, he's doing Jimi Hendrix right there. Did you hear it? Dun, 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 dun. Highway Child.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, they do that kind of shit too. I would steal like parts from like Kiss songs.
Oh, of course. Why wouldn't you?
I think I'll put them in my own song or in my own solo,
quiver?
and it's different. It's different because it's over a different piece of music, so it's not theirs, it's mine.
Exactly. I mean, as long as music has existed, that's what's happened.
Yeah.
Ooh. Like this distant, faraway guitar now. I think some of our listeners are really going to dig this album, and some of them are really going to hate it.
I feel like there's like probably a middle ground where most people are going to feel like we do is that, you know, it's an interesting thing that was kind of caught on, captured on record.
Yeah, like Gillan said, he said exactly what it is, and you can't really argue with that.
But I mean, a footnote, you know, like I don't know if I would ever never pull this out and just go, oh, I gotta listen to Cleveland Steamer or whatever the name of that song was.
Well, you just put this on at a party next time you have people over. Mix it in, like, do like an 80s dance party with like Madonna and all that, and then just like, put this one in the shuffle.
Yeah.
Wake me up before you go. She came like a bat from hell.
Bat from hell.
Came like a bat from hell. It's easy to sing along to the first time you hear it because you know every other line.
Came from the bat from hell.
He sounds like almost like ah! It's like screaming Lord Sutch or something. Really insane sounding.
Oh, there he goes. He's back into his Middle Eastern scale.
I feel like his guitar teacher is like in the window of the studio, and he told him to practice.
He's like,
he sees him doing pentatonic, and then he's like this, and then he's oh sorry, and then he goes into the Middle Eastern scale, and he's nodding approvingly.
Or he goes into the Middle Eastern scale, and he's through the window like,
that's just like I taught you, buddy. Right, that was She Came Like a Bat from Hell off the 1972 album Jerusalem. What do you think, John?
I gotta give it a 2.5.
He gave it a 2.5.
Wait, I should go back. I'm giving it a 2.5. It was, I feel like when I heard that, I'm like, okay, so the one part of coaching Gillan did was just like, what you want to do is like sing along with the riff, because that's what I do sometimes. So you go, when the guitar goes da 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 da, you want to go came like a man from hell, and that'll really cinch it. Overall, I think it's just another one of the other tracks that just kind of blends in. I mean, the whole album is mostly like that, but again, 2.5 is middle of the road, so decent effort.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, while John calculates this up and fumbles with the spreadsheet,
you forgot to put in your rating, Nate.
Oh, 2.5. I gave it a 2.5.
All right, I guess we both gave it that, and you forgot because we sang it. So
I did, yeah. I was singing along. I thought that would be. I thought everyone would get that.
All right, sorry.
Sorry. Okay, so we will thank our next, last, but certainly not least, patrons, and that is, of course, our foundation level patrons. Coming in at the £3.50 tier, we have the one and only Lord Longford. At the £3 aromatic fee tier, Simon Ford and Richard Brees. At the €3.50 tier, Weston Supermare Pilgrim. At the 293 pence tier, we have
Blackmore Tights.
At the $3.33 halfway to evil tier, we have Stephen Sharp. At the $3 nobody's perfect tier, Peter Gardo.
All that she wants is another baby.
Ian DeRosier. Where is he? Mark Roback. Stuart McCord. Ivan Fjeldbu. Runar Simonsen. Ruinous Inadequacies, Corey Morissette. Joe Dopefish Sigler. Adam Cork, Tim Wood, Steve Down to Earth Kohler, Michael, and Matt R. At the $1.71 I Want My Own tier, we have
Rich Yangui Shaylor. Who the hell is that?
At the 10 Cold Hard Danish Kroner tier, we have Karsten Lau.
Cold Hard Danish Kroner.
And at the $1 made up name tier, the Beyond the Grave Leaky Mausoleum. You was a skeleton. Stephen Somerville, the Concerto 1999 fanatic, Hank the Tank, Private Eyes, Ashen Lionel, Zwapper the Electric Alchemist, Anders Engstrom, ICDC, Durple Purple, David Haddam, Graham Bonnet's Disco Pants and Haircuts.
I said, Graham, our audience expects you to be a bit more dirty.
Disco Pants and Haircuts, yeah.
I'm just going to put my guitar across his head.
Eddie Lyon.
Homosexual.
And Sick Tone.
Where is she? Where is she? She's just about to close up the library.
Thank you so much to all of you for your generous support of the Deep Purple podcast, and you know what time it is.
Well, John's busting out the spreadsheets, and he's fumbling with the tabs. Oops, he sorted it the wrong way. Now he can't tell what is bad.
All right, John, where does Jerusalem, 1972 Ian Gillan produced album, fall in our rankings?
Well, our young men who are not so young anymore are kind of down at the bottom here. They're in the murk here with poor Nick Simper and Trapeze's first album and Barbie Benton. They're down here.
Well, they're not. Barbie Benton is in a category all her own.
Yeah, she's way at the bottom there. She's the bottom.
Yeah, there's not sure, there's albums right above her, but they are separated by a gulf.
Yeah. Well,
an alligator-infested moat.
Jerusalem, they got a 5.72. So it is within the bottom of the barrel here. We basically rated it the same. Artwoods, Simper's Fandango, it's just Fandango. Sorry, Nick Simper. Actually, Fandango, Nick Simper's Fandango. All that
the
stuff
Fandangos
hanging around here. Stranger in Us All from Blackmore's Night.
I hope Steve Morris comes out with a
Shadow
Steve Morris's Fandango so we can review it.
But yeah, I mean, I think for what it was pretty good. I mean, I've heard albums like this before.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I am, we've talked about how you put on like a Spotify song, and then the playlist recommends other things. So there'd be that kind of late 60s, really early 70s kind of kind of countercultural, heavier rock that never quite made it type of thing. And this sounds a lot like that, those kind of jam bands, like garage band type of sounds where it's the vocalist is like this, the guitar is like, the arrangements are like heavy, but the guitars aren't that heavy type of thing. And it's like, it's good for like maybe a song or two, and then it's like, yeah, I can't listen to a whole album of this. So I would never revisit it, but I think it's an interesting footnote in history, and that Gillan liked it and was involved with it. The only thing that I don't agree with, though, is that, in his little write-up, I was thinking about it and I wanted to save it for the end, is when he's just like, like, I capture them in their innocent natural state, whatever, which is something that you should have with all bands. And you think about it and you hear like a band's first album, right? A lot of them, and it's like a lot of those are my favorite albums for that reason. And then they develop, and for whatever reason, they more money, more fame, more producers, more input from outside songwriters, and then naturally they get better at their instruments and they're able to self-edit and do different things, whatever. But he was like, one of the things, like, I hope they don't lose that. And it's like, I thought it was kind of a dumb thing to say, because it's like, of course they're going to lose that. Nobody's ever going to be that innocent, forever. Nobody's ever going to have that kind of like innocent energy forever. Like that, you captured it there, and from then on, it's only going to just go away. Like, I mean, life in general is going to take that away from you.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was kind of like, I mean, I get the sentiment of it, but I mean, it's just kind of like, I feel like it's more poetic than it is realistic. It's just like, oh, this is going to be the band that's never going to sell out. It's like, if they made it, they would have sold out eventually.
Right. Yeah. Selling out is just being successful.
Yeah, exactly. Which, I mean, I know that saying like you're a sellout is like a derogatory, typically, especially when somebody from our generation says it. But I mean, it's like, like you're a sellout, you're a poser. You're like,
but I think when you get the perspective that only time and age and maturity will give you, you realize that that's just a bunch of bullshit. When I was 14, I was like, Metallica sold out, or 15, or whenever the hell the Black Album came out. Just like, no, they made the album they wanted to make, and it was one of the biggest albums of all time. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Why fault them for that? It brought so much joy to so many people. It wasn't my favorite Metallica album, and it still isn't, but like, I mean, there's no denying the production on that album and just the impact it's had for multiple generations. It's like, come on.
But I mean, even so, it's just
like,
what is
sold out before that. They were saying they sold out 2-3 albums before that. Everything after Ride the Lightning was a sellout, or I guess people would probably go as far as Master of Puppets, but yeah, then they're just like, they're sellouts.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, and we've discussed, so I won't spend too much time on it. But I mean, if selling out is like obviously any red-blooded American's aspiration, because it's just like you're trying to become successful so you can like have a 401k and buy a house and leave your family something in your will and like enjoy life.
Your family. I thought you were just gonna end it at that, so you can leave your family. American's dream
to leave your every cheating American's dream. To leave, to have something to leave to your family and your in your will, and like like all that kind of stuff. You want to be able to enjoy life, and how can you do that if you're just like, oh yeah, screw you, man, we're still playing clubs and wearing we're borrowing each other's pants. It's like, yeah, that's success. That's what I want to do.
Yeah, it's like if I hit the lottery and won $100 million and quit my job, everyone at work would be like, oh, he's such a sellout. I think everyone at work would be like, well, yeah, duh. What would you do if you became, independently wealthy? Like, most people aren't going to work every day, fortunate enough to have a job that they like and people they work with that they like. But for the most part, people are like, hey, I'm doing this because I need to support my family.
Exactly.
You quit your job after getting a drop of 9 figures. You're like, peace out. Yep. Freaking sell out.
If I did, the first thing I would do is I would rent the most obnoxious stretch Hummer that I could find. pull up in the middle of work and outside of the sunroof, just wave to him and be like, "Yup, I am a sellout. So long, suckers," and then take off into the sunset.
I mean, I think it would be the opposite, because we're our jobs are not like, we're not artists, but like, I think it would be the opposite. Be like, dude, didn't he just win $100 million? He's still coming into work. What's up with that? Instead of a sellout, you'd be like, that guy's a freaking idiot.
Oh yeah,
he doesn't need to be here.
No, I told somebody the other day. I said, once I hit retirement, I'm out of public life forever. You people ain't ever seeing me again. See ya.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, I'm not getting a job as a Walmart greeter. I'm not coming back part-time. I
can't understand that. Like that having no things like you just, I'm bored. I just had to do something. Like that does not compute with me. I have so many things I would love to do.
Yeah. Bye. Goodbye,
barely
public life.
Squeeze in time to do this freaking podcast every week. It's like, man, imagine if we got to do this podcast and it wasn't a mad scramble to try to find a time when we could record.
After you sent me a copy of your schedule, I zoomed in on it because I'm like, oh, is that the show schedule? No, that's your life schedule. I'm like, how the hell does he even have time to like come down here and do this? Like, what the?
Yeah.
Wow.
Stuff. The summers are crazy with the kids' sports, so hopefully it'll get a little less crazy. But
anyway.
But yeah, interesting album to review and to talk about. There's a few things, I'm going to put a bunch of extra stuff in the show notes because I just have a ton of stuff, but in the interest of time, I do want to read this one Record Mirror review. So this is from the Record Mirror. It says, Ian hit out at some of those critics who do not seem to care about anything formative or cannot necessarily compare to the technical proficiency of more experienced and qualified musicians. So this is, not a review so much, but an interview like after the fact. Ian says, I really feel some of these critics who cannot accept the fact that so-called heavy music has now become pop music by virtue of the fact that it's popular are writing with their heads in the sand. Why is it that some of the writers seem to adopt this position that nothing can ever be any good if it is widely accepted? And why is it that some bands like Black Sabbath seem so anxious to put down the younger people who come to their concerts and refer to them disparagingly as teeny boppers? How would you like to be called a teeny bopper just because you happen to be young and you like bands that retained some essence of vitality? That's just something else I can't understand. A band is hungry, so it becomes good out of that hunger. It gets recognized and successful, then throws the acceptance back into the faces of the people who made them. It just doesn't make sense. Critics who are not prepared to encourage new talent and make some kind of allowance that no band becomes as good as those who are on top immediately are doing no good for themselves or for the businesses that feed them. They slam a show which maybe 5,000 people dug, and the unfortunate thing is that maybe 250,000 people read the interview. All bands like Jerusalem want is a chance to prove themselves, and Gillan is doing his bit to lend a hand. More established artists with his attitude would be no bad thing. I think that pretty much sums it up.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's I think a lot of the sentiments about this project, about this band, around this band are pretty true, and it's kind of funny. It's like, it could be it's relevant today, and it's I don't know that I've heard that enough. So
yeah, totally. Well, folks, with that, we will be traveling on, and we will see you next week.
If you like the Deep Purple podcast and would like to support the show, please consider joining our Patreon or donating on PayPal. Patrons get full access to the podcast, Discord server, ratings, spreadsheets, and live stream invites. You can also leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts to help new people discover the show. You can follow the show on Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, or Threads. You can also check out the website at deeppurplepodcast.com for show notes and more. Contact us via email at John or Nate at deeppurplepodcast.com. Thanks for listening.